Good morning and afternoon, sailors. So we've got ourselves some lore to break down. I've read through the entire rest of the upcoming and currently available lore, and we're gonna have to do this in chunks because there's a ton of detail to go through. The very first one for me is near and dear to my heart. Today we're talking about something we pretty much already knew, the confirmation that there is something or multiple things in the water. Careful for spoilers, but I'm just gonna jump right in. It all starts with the story of the Ebony Hawk. You see, this is a collection of pages that we already had before the beta. These get dug up in Sleepy Hollow. You see, the story goes that the captain of a crew found some kind of book when they were last ashore, and they believed it contained the answer to leave the island of Aeternum. There's already been tales of a doomed ship known as the Vendetta, but still most of the crew felt it was worth the effort. So after hours in the cabin, the captain finally discovers some sort of ritual that he believes will work. But what happens when they actually get out there is that the captain decides to strap the man to the mast and perform the ritual. It's supposed to appease the quote-unquote monster, but instead it just creates another. Things start to go south really fast and the book gets claimed by the sea. And it's from this that we can assume that they immediately crashed or turned around, but there are documents as well as a questline suggesting that things did not turn out very well for the crew, and that Sleepy Hollow has been a place of darkness for centuries. We then pick up with the story of the Vendetta written by a man named Duarte Pontes. It starts with him saying that his captain has charged him with finding a Northman shipwright that may have been capable of guiding them out of the storm to escape Aeternum, but appeared to be nothing more than a crazy hermit. Well, what happened is they ignored his warning not to go into the storm. They said that he was blabbering on about some monster that lurks in the heart of the storm that he calls the Kraken. And the madman grabbed and begged Pontus, pleaded with him not to go into the storm, but they didn't listen. And so, reluctantly, the crew follows the captain that is so determined to get off this island and out of the storm. Pontus is convinced at this point that the Vendetta is damned, and he just hopes that their fate will serve as a warning to others. Now this is where we get to the page, The Maelstrom Revealed. It turns out that the Northman was right. Those who doubted now reside in the murky water, and Pontus will soon join them. He says that at long last he set his eyes upon it, the beast that lurks in the heart of the storm. Just as Diedrich had warned, a Kraken of the old world. And he says that this demon is the true guardian of this accursed isle. Which, although would make some sense, I think we know enough now to say that this Kraken isn't the only anomaly in and around this island. The last video we did talked about some of the open world aspects of New World and how it'd be really good if they capitalized on improving them, but Naval Mechanics is also something we've talked about in the past, but I wouldn't expect to see something like that for a pretty long time regardless. However, the fact that this Kraken as well as the Mother of the Deep, who we will go into next, is actually a thing, this would be another thing that would be really cool to see come to life. Story-wise, in the next couple videos, we're going to break down how eventually, one way or another, something or someone is going to break free of this storm wall. So based off that and everything else we know, Naval Mechanics should be something in the future, but it's all a matter of when. Now what happens to the Vendetta? Well, some of the pages we've come across suggest that the captain and the crew of the Vendetta may have taken a pretty dark turn. Pirates of the Caribbean lovers will like this, but in both Sighting the Ghost Ship and Legend of the Vendetta, it seems like the crew of the Vendetta have become what are known as the Lost, and taken on a similar story to that of the Flying Dutchman. But we don't know if they share the same purpose, probably not. This does seem to mean though that when and if we get those naval mechanics, perhaps we'll see actual ghost ships on the open seas that we can fight. I hope they research games like Pirates of the Caribbean Online or even ArcAge when it comes to this stuff. The naval system should be totally open-ended. You can hop on a ship with yourself and friends and start sailing out to potentially different islands and points of interest, come across things like these ghost ships and probably the Kraken or other entities, and hopefully most of all, absolutely no or little to no loading screens. I think something like that would be amazing to see. Now, even though the Vendetta and the Dutchman probably don't share the same purpose, you'll be surprised to know that the sea itself does seem to have a master. Only in this story, no king or pirate court has bound her in her bones. I'm talking about the Mother of the Deep. Now, I found this page very randomly during one of the previous testing phases, and I had my suspicions, but I had no idea they were actually going to go down this route. You see, there's multiple pages hinting at and describing this Mother of the Deep, but one page in particular tells us literally everything we need to know. The page is called The Vengeful Sea. It starts off with a person named Caliban stating that they witnessed a miracle. While fishing for bluegills near Clearwater Bend, a horde of withered descended upon them and their friends. They retreated into the water, having no escape, and the withered were in hot pursuit as Caliban feared that they would join them, and suddenly, the sea pulled back. They found themselves surrounded by flopping fish. They heard a mighty roar before the sea crashed upon them. They awoke on the beach, surrounded by their companions, but of the withered, there were no signs. The beach had been cleansed, and all that remained was peace. Now the next page, known as Lady Fathom, thinks that the entity in the ocean is similar to Poseidon, Lear, or other examples of the old world. Her realm is the sea, and she accepts gifts, along with protecting those who call upon her. And to me, this deity or unknown force reminds me completely and only of Calypso. And if something like this exists in this universe, then I think story-wise our chances of getting off this island eventually may have just gone up, because I bet that in the end, all we'll need is a little tribute. But that's the first chunk of the story I wanted to go over with you guys. There's going to be a lot more detail to uncover as time goes on, and even though I've said currently, we only have the foundations of the story here, there is so much potential if they actually capitalize on these kinds of things. Have a wonderful night or day, folks, and farewell.